Hello everyone, hello and welcome back to Random Encounter. I'm somewhat not with it because there's been a whole set of events for the last 2 weeks that I am well and truly exhausted from. But we are still here, we're still sorting things out, we're still gaming, and we're still going to do more of this Abomination Vaults, mostly because it's our Wednesday bi-weekly game anyway, and we'd be playing this even if we weren't recording it. So we're gonna get on with this. But we are at a relatively big point for these guys, and there's a few things to discuss in character and a few things to sort of have a look into in character. So we're not going to spend too long again doing an introduction. We do, as I say, we do at some point need to come up with some topics. We just haven't been of late. It's not been high on my agenda list to come up with a topic conversation, it's a general thing that I think we quite like just getting into the game sometimes. So we're gonna do that. These guys have got plans anyway. They're going to be talking at you for the next goodness knows how long. Apparently, at least that's what they claim. So
We're not planned.
well, yeah. So we will get on with this. We are using Foundry. We are using the official module because the maps are gorgeous and there's music built in and don't have to worry too much. It is Sirenscape music, but we don't have to use Sirenscape, so we still put Sirenscape on our splash screen because we're kind of still using their stuff. And yeah, the official Paizo Pathfinder module. Module? Goodness me, that's showing my age. They're not called modules anymore. Adventure paths of the Abomination Vaults. These guys are just about kind of getting into their own bit and piece, but we're going to chuck some music up, and I'm going to put it onto the map screen for you guys. And yeah, shall hope. I say I'm playing music. There it is. I can hear it now. Good. So we've got some music. We've got some bits and pieces going on. Yeah, just do me a favour, somebody other than me, talk so that I can make sure that the volume is going up and down on the Discord channel.
Is it?
Yeah, it is good. That's good. That's nice. There we are. Oh, it's just checking it. I just looked at it right now, and you guys were being so quiet. It wasn't even shifting even slightly, and I was just going, "Oh, don't you dare!" But there we are.
No more lost episodes.
After one of our friends has been saying, "Yay, the sound's all sorted," from he's put comments onto episode 18 or wherever it is, and he's going, "The sound's awesome now," and I was just looking at it going, "You don't know." Right. Anyway, you find yourselves in the temple, underground thing, the Nimbaloth temple. The statue, which Olrin's token is currently stood on, is a heap of mess on the floor after somebody said, "I'm not having that staying stood up," and trashed it. And everybody destroyed it. In addition to that, you have found a number of books in a side room hidden behind a secret door that somebody spotted within a bare couple of seconds. That room contained 4 major books, majorly interesting books. One was the Gauntlight Blueprints, which Moz very quickly took away and did a carbon copy of. The Teleportation Network book, which explains how there are a number of teleportation circles within this place and how to reawaken them. Oh wow. And then a couple of slightly more esoteric and specific books. The Whispering Reeds is a large book, in fact the largest book in the room, sat on a southern shelf. It was 77 supposed encounters with the outer goddess Nimbaloth and how each encounter left physical or mental scars. The book has been heavily annotated in what appears to be Belcorra's hand, and you know that it's Belcorra's hand because of the 4th book that you found, and you're able to sort of cross-reference the handwriting. everything. She's particularly interested in areas where the themes are of Nimbeloth as an eater of ghosts, and how that plays into parables and tales. The final book is Belcora's Journal. It is the largest book on the northern shelf. It's a large journal that focuses largely on Belcora's hatred of Absalom. It is written in Aklo, which I am aware that at least one of you guys can read. And after spending roughly 8 hours on this, and we're going with the assumption that you guys kind of go, there's quite a lot of information to take in here. We can probably haul up for 8 hours. We can lock the doors. I think that was something we discussed off air, as whether or not you were going to do that, and I think we decided that that was probably likely. This book contains information about the family history, and that Belcora was exiled to poverty and then eventually returned to the region to build a lair from which she hoped to exact revenge on the city that had disgraced and impoverished her family. The last several pages of the journal document much of her work in building the Abomination Vaults. While the journal doesn't offer many specific details, it mentions construction of a flesh warping laboratory, arenas where she would pit enemies against her monstrous champions for her amusement, prisons, torture chambers, links to the Darklands, and a great temple where once the empty death herself brushed against this fragile world. Belcora's entries often speak of her minions in the abstract, as if bragging about how many have come to serve her in creating the complex. But she only ever mentions one by name, her amazingly vain apprentice, Volok Azrine. One of the last entries describes how this apprentice arrived from a community of upstarts and meddlesome drow below to serve Belcora. The notes don't provide any information about the drow community.
The drow below.
Below.
Just thought I'd double check I heard that right.
Did you come through some
Oh,
sort
goody.
of portal? A drow gate?
Don't start that war.
Like a game that everyone's just lost. Don't
Please, can we give him a hero point for that? Because that was genius.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. You can have the extra hero point there.
This is the same down below, where this being, this entity, came into contact with this realm.
So there is a great temple where once the empty death herself brushed against this fragile world.
This isn't a great temple. It's not even a mediocre temple.
Oh, modest. Also not far enough below.
Bijou.
That's the thing. Is there something more grand, a floor or two below us?
Almost certainly.
Significantly so, even if it's not here.
Does any of my probably shadow plane lore or possibly undead tell me anything about ghost eaters?
So it's a bit of a mix that you can probably pick up with a combination of your knowledge of ghosts and other people's religious skills that are part of this group. The Eater of Ghosts is a general term for... It's like an aspect of the outer goddess Nimbeloth. So Nimbeloth is related in many ways to the undead. Being things that they follow, being things that they worship in some regards, but also to a certain extent, almost like it's an outer god. Its entire sort of story is full of contradictions and various other things like that. So while Nimbleoth is known as a sort of like a patron to the undead, especially ghosts. She's also known as the eater of ghosts. It's one of those, almost feasting on your own worshippers kind of deal that some of them are relatively commonly known for.
Pray better or you're a snack.
And even then,
you until the morale improves.
yeah. Even then, it can still be. You've prayed really, really well. Here's your reward, nom.
I'm saying nothing.
No, we know someone who has said like
Yes, we probably do.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Moving swiftly on.
Okay. Something creepy further down. A drow apprentice who is unreasonably obsessed.
We know about Volok because he was the one from the place across the on the little island, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was the picture that we found.
Yes.
In the goat's
Yeah.
room.
And also the one that you
love
knew.
triangle then, because if she's got his picture, but he was to Belcora. Sorry, Matt, you were going to give something else that we should know.
I was also going to say, you also know that Volok was the one that dealt with the books, the ones that you've got, the Worm That Knows, all of those ones. You originally found out about those titles from a list that was in his room.
Are we certain he is dead and his spirit is not here?
No. I can be certain of nothing.
Agreed.
Okay.
Given what we found in his laboratory, I wouldn't be surprised to find his soul powering some kind of construct.
Yeah, that.
I suppose I'm not surprised that it's only going to get darker as we go down. I wasn't expecting to suddenly pop out into the sunlit uplands.
I can certainly say I want to clear this floor and look at the teleportation stuff before we go any further. Because I don't want anything behind us.
And plus it might provide us with a quicker exit strategy.
Yes.
I entirely approve of being able to just hop between levels.
I'm aware that we're carrying a nice little concentration of things. As much as people go delving into places like this or don't, except on rare occasions, we're carrying a bunch of items that I don't particularly want to be carrying for long, and or don't want some random sod to find.
What do you propose doing with them?
Well, the worm one, the skull nose, things like that, those are not books that should probably be around in civil conversation, or near civil conversation. So, as much as we're selling equipment back in town, I would prefer those not to go back into town, or if they did, to not get sold in town.
We could take them to the library.
No. I would want them away from anyone who might be even vaguely inclined to use them.
Could destroy them.
Destroying sounds good.
There's that. Also, some of the information about this place is vaguely useful. Whilst you've been delving into that book, I've been making notes about this place. This place is generally what I imagine Gilder the Nail would qualify as a threat to civilization, specifically Absalom. So I've been making notes and making copies of it because if something goes awry, I want to send off before something goes awry, a copy of that and potentially those books away to Citadel Frayed. I don't want them anywhere near this place. I want the key and the door as far apart as possible.
Why should we trust your lot with the books? Why not just destroy them?
Destroy the books? Absolutely sure. It's a case of my lot are more interested in upholding law in Cheliax. Admittedly, it is.
But we're not in
heavily
Cheliax.
on keeping out, yeah. But we have influence, and we, generally speaking, I say we, I'm not quite fully a we yet.
It never.
Discourage certain behaviours. Discourage others. Destroy the books, absolutely. I want this copy of my notes will be going to Frayed. But if this place somehow turns on, if we're not able to stop it, I don't want some idle person coming along and going, ooh, this is a nice thing. Ooh, we could be manipulated to using this. My lot are very much, yeah, sure. We're linked in with demons. I at some point have to go toe to toe with one. As himself in the prison quite notably said, we're disinclined to see each other again, there's half a chance. We've got no interest, to the best of my knowledge, in anything undead, and anything that threatens civilization, which this place does. And that kind of knowledge also threatens civilization. To an extent, if you know what the enemy are using, or if you can become aware of, if you can research it, have the tools, have the weapon, have the nail that you could drive home with a hammer. Structured knowledge is almost as good because it stops it falling into someone else's hands, but if it becomes a case of you need that information to stop something else, better to have it in the hands of someone who's not inclined to use it.
Everybody has a price.
Yeah. Imagine the people who wrote the books did. I imagine anybody who has, when they were alive, been anywhere near this temple have. As much as, that staff we picked up is distasteful in some ways. There are people who will go out there and use it. For good or for ill.
That doesn't do anything particularly unique, though.
And
Just a bunch of magic spells.
And what the Worm Knows and similar are just books of knowledge and information and general guidance, but they're not actually doing executions, as far as I'm aware. They are just ways to start people thinking. They are ways to potentially corrupt, as far as I'm aware.
Which still puts them in a different category to the staff. I can cast most of what that staff can. It is a tool, repository at best. It can't be used to change people. Knowledge can. Which I believe is the point you're making.
Generally speaking. I'd rather see those books locked up somewhere where no one's inclined to use them. And at best they become a source of potential information, or a book that, look, if you find this book, this is a bad book, this is an indicator that someone may be up to witchery. Have a read of this book, understand what it says, so that you can recognize it in parts.
I can't decide if you have a deep faith in the better natures of others or if you're incredibly naive.
I would rather see anything that threatens civilization crushed into dust.
Gestures at the books.
Yeah. We can utterly destroy them, absolutely. Can they be used to teach other people to recognize what is a problem, what is a threat, what is part of a threat? There's probably things in these that I don't understand. In fact, there's very likely things in these I don't understand. They're not my forte. There are other orders that do lean into magics. There are signifiers who are very much embedded in magic. That's why I have I would talk to my family. I would talk to my mother, and have the joy of honor transported relatively safely, relatively quietly. In fact, very quietly. Damn thing travels marble more often than not. Very quietly to sort of Belgrade, where it just disappears off the face of the known universe.
I feel like they'd done that here, and yet here we are.
Well, this is exactly where it would normally be. It is co-located. It's on the same floor as, or it's a floor or so off, of something very much tied to bad witchery. This is not. This would have been a place of learning. This would have been a place of education and corruption. This is, even from Belcora's nose, a place of retribution against a civilization, against a city. It is part of the novels, part of the educational paraphernalia towards corrupting an individual and guiding them down her path, deliberately so. With all the weird experiments that we quite literally came face to chewed off face with, not too far away. That is part of the slow steps towards it. These books belong here in this behavioural place. They match this place's intent as much as anything else. They are not hidden here. They are especially not hidden now that we have grouped with a whole bunch of useful stuff. When we were younger, we delved into something that was probably known, was vaguely known. We happened across a scene that hundreds of other kids saw, probably. Only we saw something slightly different. We saw the dagger in the dust, if I remember myself rightly. We saw that little bit of detail. What is to stop someone? Should we be ultimately successful in stopping whatever this thing is, and threatening everyone? What is to stop kids in the future walking down here and finding a book? Finding tomes and information about how to corrupt things, about how to bring unlife in a negative and unhelpful manner.
I feel like you've changed the point you're arguing.
We have diverted slightly, yes. I would see these books kept away from this place, far away from this. I would have them used for recognition of what is not right. I would see them used as an example of something that is corrupting.
It's all piled up together.
They're in the bag of holding.
Yeah.
They're currently in the bag. I assume they were on a table or something because we've been studying them.
No, there's. Yeah, the ones that Moz is very specifically talking about are not the ones you found in this secret chamber. They're ones you picked up earlier.
Oh, okay, so they are already in the bag. Right, okay. Damn.
Here, generally, I can't see, other than the one that details how this place is put together, that I've made a copy of myself. I want to make sure that is safe in case someone else needs to bring this thing down.
Yeah.
I have no problem with.
That's the one. As this discussion was bouncing backwards and forwards, I found myself wondering which of these tomes, is the instruction manual for this place or the magics within it, and making notes and then sending that off somewhere in case we fail and someone else needs to pick up and they've got a reasonable starting point of knowledge would probably be wise. But stuff that's, for want of a better term, the Idiot's Guide to Turning Someone Evil, that does not contain any useful information about disarming or dismantling this place's magical effects, then chuck it on a fire.
Okay.
Because that deals with the problem now It means they can't be stolen from us.
Yeah.
We can't lose them. They can't get shipwrecked, float in a obviously, just worst case, float off to the island of the innocent people, which turns into a cult of homicidal maniacs in a generation.
Yeah, that would definitely happen.
Alcora's journal, though, I still wonder whether there's anything in there that we can learn while we're here. I don't think it should leave the place. I don't think it should stay unaccompanied.
I don't think Belcora's journal should leave our sight or leave our possession, but that may be able to add context to puzzles and things we find further on. I
don't want us to lose access to that until we are finished here.
Yeah, like then that can go on the file as well.
I think any information that is going from here elsewhere for someone else to pick up if something happens to us, that should go via Rin, because Rin has coordinated us.
I would trust Rin to hold it until, let's say, the notes I've made I'm not going to send off on the next boat. My family come round often enough. I would ask Rin to hold it until Joywana makes sure.
And then that way we know that there is information passed to the appropriate people.
It goes quietly. It goes in admittedly it's a route I trust. I appreciate that trust may not be shared. I appreciate that. It goes through a route that is... my family thinks through Ravenel. More than actually on Chilex proper. But I would trust my mother to make sure it gets to Citadel Parade.
I mean, why does it have to go to Cheliax and not Absalom?
Because my order are very much against the things that would affect and negatively affect civilization. This thing does. It's a case of if we as a small group of people let's apply a very large, very heavy, very task-orientated group to solve the problem. Someone who is
So you want the Order of the Nail to march in to Atari?
This place? Literate this town?
Well, you can't just march into Atari. That's not how it works.
Most part, they get hired on contracts. That's how they leave the country. That's how a lot of the orders freely move about. That's how a lot of people recognise the armour. That's how that piece of armour down in town was ultimately commissioned, most likely, is someone out and about on a contract, on a mercenary contract.
I mean, maybe you can, but that doesn't mean you should, which I suspect was Neffy's point.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if we were to not be able to achieve what is our goal here, which is to stop this thing, whatever it is, who would we pass it on to in Absalom? Who do we know in Absalom?
I don't know
That's where
anybody
Rin
I'd
comes
want
in.
to send back into this.
I would want to send someone who is capable of defeating demons, who is capable of going through ghouls, who is significantly magically capable, who is armed and well resourced. The Order of the Nail and other orders are entirely there. The Order of Nail are very much inclined towards the protection and furtherance of civilization. This is potentially the ideal threat for them. This whole building is a threat to Absalom. We saw it in the room with in the room where Neffy almost got zapped by magic half a dozen times. She skidded through and ran very deftly through, turning off all the attacks, all the different ways that Absalom could be destroyed. Even in the journal we picked up all the hatred notes towards Absalom.
So what I'm hearing is there's a better armed, more experienced group of people who could actually take this on, and we could go back to our lives.
Hearing that too.
Potentially. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd like to get promoted as well.
of curiosity about what is further down.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we started.
I want to finish, but I also want to make sure that if we can't, please destroy this building. Here is a manual on how it is supposedly put together, provided to see what you can.
Okay. This. The next time, because we can't decide right now, but the next time we go back to town, we go and speak to Rin. Rin sent us on this mission. Let's see what Rin thinks. I mean, Rin might say, yeah, the town will hire the Order of the Nail, and then this whole discussion is defunct. Or they might say, oh no, I know these people in Absalom that are equally as experienced at dealing with this kind of thing, now that Rin knows what's in here, because Rin sent us here not knowing really what was going on. We have a bit more of an understanding.
So, snacks, food. It's been a while.
It has been a while. In fact, it's potentially been a while, long enough that each of you also get a night's rest while you're here. Most likely, taking in shifts and reading books and doing various other bits and pieces like that. And obviously this conversation is going to take some time because there's so many ins and outs of this discussion.
Certainly have zapped Neffy back to full health.
Yep.
Thank you. I was about to say. Thank you. Squishy Neffy feels better now.
I mean, while while I think we should sell the stuff when we get back, there's nothing to stop me using it in the interim, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Invest it once we finish this rest, and you'll have a couple of zaps available.
Yep. This is the one thing that is, because you reinvest every single morning. As soon as you don't want a thing, you just don't invest in it, basically, and yeah, it can be then passed on. In fact, it can be passed on while you're invested to it. To be fair, it's just that you then don't get any use out of it for the 24 hours.
What do I have to put into it? Is it just part of daily preparations?
Yeah, it is. It's just part of daily preparations. There's a cap, I believe, 10 items that can be invested in, but that's it. So, after a night's rest, just barricading the doors, making sure nothing can get in, reading through the books, doing the various bits of research. Does anybody actually want to read these necromantic books? Is any, the real ones that Moz doesn't want anybody to go anywhere near?
Yeah.
Okay.
A scan, anyway.
A scan read, a very brief scan read. Okay. They are, as I said before, they are relatively detailed necromantic books. However, what you do realise as you go through all of these, so What the Worm Knows, Grave Feasts, and Secrets of the Skull. And as I say, some people are taking 8 hours doing other things, you'll take 8 hours looking over these books. And you've got some ghost lore, undead lore, you know a bit about religion, you're a little bit occult as well. What you piece together in the end is that each individual book alone is probably, it's like snippets, it's like tiny little things. No single book would ever be able to give you that much power. It would give you some, but it wouldn't give you that much power. The problem is that the combination of all 3 books, you piece together that there is probably some sort of ritual component in here, which when combined together would allow an individual to turn themselves into a form or a creature of an undead nature.
Of course it does.
Yep.
Of course it does.
That's why it's a problem. They're ciphers for each other.
Uh huh.
That's the thing that needs to be taught. That is a thing that would need to be taught.
But they
By all
don't need
means,
the books for
mention
that.
that there are books that work in this manner and how to identify them. Doesn't mean anybody needs the actual books
Yeah, you can just give them the name of the books.
and the concepts of how it works. You don't need the content.
Giving people the name of the books tells people to go and look for the book.
Okay,
In fact, I am.
Wait.
I will state this now. Now that I've looked through it, while the books are necromantic of nature, the creature you would turn into is not a necromantic creature, but it is an aberration.
Okay. So,
I know what it is.
No, I'm not giving you that much.
Aberrations come from the same outer sphere as the outer gods.
Yeah. Aberrations would be they would be the sort of they're the kinds of creatures you expect in the darkness. They're not natural, they're magical almost in nature.
like the gibbering thing. That was
Like,
an aberration.
yes, the gibbering mouther is indeed an aberration.
Okay.
I mean, we could destroy. Well, I mean, still think we should destroy all of them. But if
I
Ross
think
is
we
going to
should
get his
destroy
arse
all
in
of
a
them.
twist about it, we could just destroy one of them.
But
For them to be destroyed. But what I think is they could be used for its education, in the sense of
But-
this is how these kind of things put together.
And yet, the educational thing is knowing that there are 3 books and what they are, and that combined they create a cipher that therefore allows you to create an aberration. In that secret place that you were going to put the books, just put a piece of parchment with that information on it without the actual book.
Absolutely. And that is what I will be making a note of. I will be making reference to how, in probably some downtime tomorrow, rather than today, because this is enough. And he vaguely gestures at the slightly scratchy blueprinty things. This is enough for now. On how this chapter and this paragraph link to that chapter and that paragraph, and that is how they reference each other. I absolutely will be putting together how ciphers like this exist. It is sometimes useful to see it in the material. Absolutely. I will.
It is, but I think it's too dangerous for it to leave this place,
Okay.
and anything could happen between here and Cheliax.
Same could happen for the blueprints as well. I fully appreciate that. I'm more than happy to see them burned. I just have a general preference that they get sent somewhere.
I can see there being a use in the blueprints, as you say, if anybody else does have to come in. But that is, again, is very specific to this place. And I'd like to come out alive, or at least what's left of me. I don't see any benefit in general to the ability to turn oneself into an aberration existing in the wider world.
I agree. They're a threat.
Hey, Lan,
So,
do you want the dinner fire?
let me make some more notes from them first. Auspices.
I'll get some more flatbreads on.
That's it. I mean, we could always hold on to them the same way that holding on to the Belcora book in the short term whilst we're doing stuff. We don't have to dispose of it tonight if we feel it may be necessary to hold on to it for a period of time.
Okay. You each get a little bit of sleep. The room itself obviously doesn't lend itself towards the most restful of nights. For a start, there is a pile of flesh in the corner, remains of the golem statue, whatever it was that was being constructed in this room. But there is just a continual depressive feeling in here. Almost like something is watching.
Oh, goody.
As the night progresses and each of you find a little bit of sleep, you are all not assailed, but there are memories that keep on cropping up. Little bits and pieces here and there that make your sleep a little bit less pleasant than perhaps it originally could have been. Memories for Phelan of the almost prejudice that the druids in Atari get because of the past, because of the incident with Joel, who was the druid that caused so much problems for Atari a few years ago. For Neffy, it's memories of her past, where she was originally from, another nation with another dark god. For Moz, just that impending dread that you are one day going to have to face down something that's bigger, potentially stronger than you, but that cutting sensation that you have no choice. At some point it will happen. For Imva, who has an interesting history with her memories, what catches you completely by surprise is where you dream of is this very room itself. And you look either side of you, and there are people by the side of you in this chamber. But you can't make out their faces, and they're not the shapes of your companions as they stand right now. It all feels so very, very long ago, and yet so very, very familiar. Come the end of your 8 hours of sleep and rest, you each wake up, not feeling particularly great, but at least rested, at least slightly rested. Enough that you can travel and move on for the rest of your day. Where is it you want to go?
I'm gonna write notes in the morning about what I can remember.
Fair. You look around the room now. You could be certain the shape of the room, other than the fact that the secret room wasn't open. The shape of the room looks familiar. What's different is that the chamber now looks dilapidated, whereas your memory is almost in good condition for what is a temple of an outer god.
Okay. Linda is distinctly subdued. Probably looking as if, why isn't that bit that colour? How much of that was real? Kind of that thing where you wake up. I don't know, maybe it's just me. You wake up and you're like, did I dream that or did that actually happen? Did I have that conversation? It's that kind of feeling for her. Trying to sort out what's real and what isn't.
Okay. Well, there's a whole. Well, I say there is a heap of. There isn't a whole heap of stuff really around here, but yeah. You know that there is one chamber that you haven't gone in. There's one place that you have not, very deliberately not, put a foot in yet. Which is the large circular room to the south with crackling energy.
Oh yeah.
Dual dance floor.
But we kind of know what's in there.
But there's a
Yes.
door. Isn't
There's
there?
a door on the far side.
Do we know how to deactivate the energy?
Nope.
Have we missed any secret doors?
Phelan holds up the +1 striking pick.
Something up the
Could you just tunnel through from another room?
Yeah. That's. I mean, I was going to go for maybe if there's a door out, it's got to go somewhere, so maybe we can find the other end of wherever it goes. But yeah, I'm
Well,
It might just be
a
a room.
structural engineer. Are we going to tunnel through anything important?
just as a reminder, the blueprints are not for the dungeon; they are for the light. They are They are how to build the tower and how to build the light, not the dungeon itself. You do not have a map of the whole place.
Damn. I wish.
So, if I remember rightly, though, there is a corridor, right, that runs partway along the side of that room.
There is, and what you worked out was that what was in your way was the elevator, because the elevator is upper floor.
Yeah.
But Neffy, you do remember something else. When you brought the elevator down from the above floor, there were 2 doors out of the lower room.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, let's go up, get the elevator, go down, and go out that door. It might take us into the room.
Did we check for any sort of call button in that corridor?
Yeah, is there like a candlestick that, you know?
No. So what you remember is as it came down, the doors themselves just looked like there was no handles on them or anything. They were just push open doors. And in fact, what you do remember is from the other side, you were able to open this door. It's just all you saw was stone, because effectively, while we've been calling it an elevator, it's not a platform that goes up and down. It's a pillar that goes up and down. So while the pillar is on the top, it doesn't matter if you can open the doors at the bottom, the pillar is stuck up there and there's no call for it. The way of moving the pillar was the thing that was in the centre and allowed you to press that and it would drop it down.
When I find out who designed this map, I'm going to have some words with them about practicality.
Yes, to be brutally honest with you, this elevator is great if the elevator is on the floor you're on and you want to go down or up, depending on where you are. It is pointless if you are on a floor and the elevator is not there.
Exactly.
Hang on.
There's a VIP elevator.
I was going to say, that sounds like something that is used by one person and one person only.
Yeah.
Where else does it go?
Neffy, how many buttons were on that thing when you pressed the button to disappear?
Just one.
The one, yeah, it just took you down one floor, yeah. Let's go and ride the elevator and see what happens.
Okay.
So I didn't ride the ship.
So, we are going to pause in just a second to move all of these tokens around. But you take the long sort of route round up the stairs, treading paths that you have already taken on that floor, trying to make sure that in case there is any room you didn't go into, you circumnavigate it and go round it and all the rest of it. You check on whether or not the skeletal minotaur gets itself back up. It doesn't. You check on a variety of other bits and pieces that were there that just seem to be problematic, like the traps. As a note, some of the traps are reset because they have a reset time, so you avoid those as much as possible. And you head to the elevator. pressing the two buttons either side of the door. Well, the button either side of the door that moves the door, and you all step inside one at a time without anybody pressing the centre button. You press that centre button, and the pillar starts to drop. And it's at that point we will stop, and we'll take a break as you return from above back down to the library, but hoping that you might have found at least something of interest still on that level.
It's just going to be a storage room, ain't it?
Guarantee it. Could be a loot. We haven't come across a VIP loot yet.
That is true.
It's Wade, the fabulous egress.
Right, everybody, we'll see you again next time. Ta-ta for now. Bye.
Bye.